Good evening everyone and welcome back to Limitless Gaming Esports for the third round of the Monday tier of Road to Glory, of course exclusively here on LGE. We've got 17 drivers tonight, of course, a good attendance for this Monday tier. If you were expecting anyone in RTG or anyone that follows RTG in general and you were expecting Mexico, well, that has been a change of plan. We're in Shanghai in China for the Chinese Grand Prix on the outer suburbs of one of the biggest cities in China, Shanghai. And of course this circuit's been here since 2004, of course a Tilke circuit, so it's got very iconic characteristics of the circuit. As we're watching David Benson in the blue and pink BWT Alpine, just starting his outlap, or should I say midway through his outlap as we're coming down towards the back straight through turn 11, and then the iconic corner, the most iconic corner on the Shanghai International Circuit, the turn 12 banking, as we go along to this 1 kilometre straight with DRS about a third of the way down. As you see the DRS line coming up now, and we'll be hitting just over the 200 mile an hour mark, about 320 kilometers an hour, as he hits the brakes at the 100 meter board and tries to take the line of least resistance at the apex, and we'll try and bring it wide to the grass before we go back to the right hand side for the final corner of turn 14. So we'll watch David Benson as he starts his first flying lap, and of course coming up to the other iconic corner, the never-ending at turn 1. You always feel like you're getting it wrong as David Benson just goes in quite wide. He wasn't able to grab at the apex as he comes around turn 2 and then turn 3 quickly after that, and we'll go with a bit of a climb up towards turn 4 and then on the brakes for the hairpin of turn 5. And we'll follow that through between the left and right S section, the complex part of this circuit, of course, in sector 2. And David Benson's just struggling with a bit of understeer to get the car pointed into that apex, as he does do for turns 9 and 10. Sorry, as we take this semi-stretch towards turn 12 and around the turn 12 and 13 banking. And onto this back straight, as I said again, with the DRS wide open, just hitting over the 200 mile an hour mark. And depending on how much wing you are running here, you either sacrifice a bit of that downforce for the later braking for potential moves into that hairpin at turn 12 as he comes round. Sorry, I keep getting my corners mixed up. Turn 14 and around the final corner, and he set a time of 1:36.267, 1:32.642, so lead burst in that Haas. We've got Cameron Poulter around the final corner, still in that limited edition Ferrari livery, as he goes on provisional pole with a 1:32.566. So we're just waiting for some more drivers to come across the start finish line, as we see Ram Ethan Haynes into third place, Lee Craig in that Silver Arrow going into 5th place, with Aki just coming over the line after him and jumping a place above him into 4th place with a 1:33.688. So the top 2 are into the 32s, the rest are in the 33s or below. Is the Alfa Romeo of Subi, who didn't tell me last week how to pronounce his name, so we'll go with Subi with a 1:33 dead, or 1:33.054. As you can see, we've got Proddy, who is not set a representative time, as well as Dan Roche, who is starting his next lap in that papaya orange and black and blue McLaren, which I think we're going to get a change at the next update, and we're going to get the Singapore and Japan special livery, and that will probably be replaced in a few days' time. I think we have got a big update coming in October with the F1, F2 22 cars. So Chuck Brothers comes across the line in 5th place. Got a lot of drivers in that 1:33 remit at the moment. And who have we got next to set a lap? It's Chuckle Brothers on his final attempt, on his first attempt. Sorry, I'm getting all over the place already. It's too late for me already. Had a bit of a busy weekend, so I'm a little bit tired still, recovering from it. When I say I was a bit busy, I had a little bit too much to drink on Saturday night. But, oh well, it was a good evening. But anyway, enough about me. We'll see what Paul Jones can do with him getting a tow from the Williams. Sure, Jos Capito is not going to be happy about that. As we see Paul Jones coming around the final corner now. Looked like he turned at the apex of turn 14 rather well. We see Paul Jones comes across the line with a 1:33 dead as well. So we've got two drivers in the 1:33s. We just had another driver come across the line. I think that was Looney Man. 1:35.3 for him. Got Professor 1 on his outlap. The penultimate driver to start his outlap, and we're still waiting on Bernie to start his lap. So I think we're going to have a slightly quieter phase now, with drivers just coming in on their in laps, and the drivers, as we see, Clay's Praying has made it into the session with just over 10 minutes to go, so you will have enough time to set a lap. We're going to have 18 drivers for the start of this 50% race. Apologies, I can't remember the lap count on a 50%. Got a feeling it could be 28. But that is a bit of a guesstimate. So as I said, we're just going to have this slightly quieter phase. So we'll have a close eye on Professor 1. As he goes through his lap. Do really love in the F122 game. It's a bit of a wind effect, but it could also be a bit of bouncing. It kind of sounds like that porpoising noise that we have. It's a shame we don't have porpoising though in the game, but I suppose as we come to the end of the season, everyone's sort of dialed that out of their cars now. But if anyone's watching who isn't racing, what did you all think of that Japanese Grand Prix on Sunday? Bit of a controversial one, to say the least. I didn't actually catch it live. I've watched glimpses of it. First race this year, I haven't actually watched live, and as I said, that was because of me having a bit of a too much of a good time on Saturday night. But yeah, it was a great race. It was another bizarre way for Max to win the championship again. I'm not personally a Max fan, but fair play to him this year. He's really a class above the rest at the moment. We'll see if anyone can challenge him next year. We're going to have teams other than Ferrari and Red Bull, potentially probably Mercedes is going to be creeping back up there as well, but hopefully we'll have some more teams next year that got it better than they did this year. But obviously we've still got a few rounds to go, but basically both of the titles are wrapped up now, even though we've still got one available. Anyway, Professor 1 has been having a pretty solid lap so far. We'll get the lap downer up, sorry, apologies, I should have done that earlier on in the session. And he's only got one more sector to go. This long back straight, a lot of thinking time for the final couple of corners, and this corner can really make or break your lap as well. If you outbrake yourself, which was a little bit of a lock up there from Professor 1. We've got Clay's Praying in his Alpha Tauri as we come around the final corner for the Aston Martin driver. Across the line he comes with a 1:33.5 again. So as I said, a lot of drivers just in that 33 zone. Of course, a new track to F122. Of course, we've had it every year since Codemasters got the game. Of course, EA now since 2010. Even though it hasn't been on the calendar the last 3 years now, isn't it? Crikey! So hopefully we will have it back next year, because I know it's a bit of a love-or-hate track, China, but I really do like China. Of course, I said at the start of the stream, Tilke is a bit of a controversial figure in terms of track designs, but this is one of a couple that I really think he did get quite right. Another one, well, probably I'd say Bahrain is another strong one for Tilke. USA as well, another kind of controversial one, but I do quite like that one, even though it's just a little bit of a copycat circuit of a lot of European circuits. Anyway, yeah, a 133.578 for Professor 1. See then Bernie finishing his first lap of the day. His Alpine teammate has not been doing so well so far, but he has caught up somewhat, and Bernie's just putting a lap of a 135.071. So just plays praying to come, and he's probably going to have one lap of this. He might fill up enough for 2 laps. It's a bit of a strange one. If he'd got in his car quickly enough and got straight out, I think he would have had enough time for 2 laps, but he's not chose to do that, or not thought to do that. And now the track is getting a little busy, as Bernie is on his in lap, and the tail end had a mind of its own there as he came out of turn 5. So we'll see if we can find someone on a lap. I think we got Royal on a lap, maybe. It's quite hard to tell which ones are and which ones aren't. As he comes off the banking, of course, it's got a bit of undulation, especially when you come onto the straight, just like Zandvoort as well, which I think is much more pronounced. No, Royal is definitely not on a lap, as he's just a big old lift there. So I think this is just kind of the time. Looney Man looks like he may be on a lap though, and he needs to put in a bit of a better lap. As I say, we've got those drivers in the 132s, 133s, 135 for Looney Man as it stands. As he comes into the hairpin at the end of the back straight, slight locking from the right front there as he turned in. As he comes around the final corner now and crosses the line, does improve a couple of places into the 133s now. We've got 3 drivers into the 33.7s, so this field is quite close. The same with the 33.6s as well, and that's held by Lee Craig, Chuckle Brothers, Asu Merckx 8th and 9th, and Aki in 10th. So we've got 4 and 3/4 minutes left in the session. Only one driver to get to set a lap, but he did join us a little bit late. So we'll wait to see what happens. We've got the majority of drivers in the pits. I think we've got Lee Burt, who's just started. Potentially his last lap, potentially his penultimate lap. Welcome along everyone who is just joining us to the stream. You're watching Road to Glory on Limitless Gaming Esports, and Monday tier 1 of 3 tiers, the Thursday as well, and they had one last night also. And please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you could, it's really very much appreciated. As we're watching Lee Burt in Sector 2, he's going to be finishing Sector 2 very shortly. And he is up on his time by a couple of tenths, which would put him at a chance to be on provisional pole with just over 3 minutes to go in the session. So he might be fueled up enough for another lap. I don't think he is. If you look on his steering wheel, after I'm pointing, you can't see me point, top right, where the 2 purple lines were there on the right hand side, it will say how much fuel he has on board in laps. And we're at the 1 lap stage now, so this is going to be his final attempt. He's not going to have enough time to come in to put new fuel in, more fuel in, and new boots on that Haas, but he does go on to provisional pole by just over a tenth of a second. And see Cameron Poulter, who is now coming out of the pits in that scarlet red and yellow Ferrari for his final attempt. Plays praying is also out on an outlap for his first and only attempt. He has made a bit of a one-shot qualifying for himself. As we're just watching the AlphaTauri man on his outlap, as we see Dan Roche actually, who's gone on the infield at turn 2. I think he may have just finished the lap, but he won't have enough time to go again. So guys, whoever is just joining us and isn't racing, who do we think is going to be odds on to win this time around? Well, keep an eye on Bugatti for the minute in that Red Bull. Going down to the first hairpin on the circuit. I don't know, is turn 1 a hairpin? Kind of, I guess. But I'll let you decide in the comments if anyone wants to talk about anything in particular. Is turn 1 a hairpin? Not so sure. It's a bit of an odd corner though, isn't it? Turn 1 is that Bugatti is now coming around turns 9 and 10 and down the semi-straight towards turn 11, as you see the advertising Eddie with the red and white advertising there at the banking. I've always thought it's a shame they didn't put a grandstand there. It would have been a really good place to watch the action, I did think, as we see a driver there on the infield. I think that was an AlphaTauri, but it may have been, I don't like an AlphaTauri, was it a Williams? Maybe a Williams, but we were with Bugatti. He's gone an Aston Martin just ahead of him as he now gets out the way. He probably didn't do him much favours, however. He's got a 134.508 to beat. Looks like he is going to beat that, and does, with a 133.981, and that'll probably be his final attempt. We're getting down towards the checkered flag. We've only got 2 drivers in the pit lane. We'll watch Clay spraying in that dark blue and white AlphaTauri, which of course in real life next year will be with Yuki Tsunoda and Nick De Vries, which I'm very excited about. I've been championing Nick De Vries quite a long time, so I'm glad to see he's going to be getting himself a chance. Close, but not close enough for the AlphaTauri man, as the checker flag is now out. He would have another go. He has got time to have another go. He's crossed the line before the checker is out, but he's not going to have enough battery to be able to maximise his pace, as Cameron Poulter goes into the 132.4s just behind Lieber, who is still on provisional pole. Proddy comes across the line, 4th place for him, into the 133s, right dead on. 4 thousandths of a second ahead of Subi, who is on a lap and is 2 tenths up, so he could potentially go up into 4th place here, maybe 3rd place, as Polsey said he was 2 tenths up and he lost it in the final corner. As Subi comes across the line, I'm going to have to take a drink because I'm already losing my voice once again. This is a pattern going on a Monday night as I get so excited about the great racing that happens. We got Professor One, as we see Chucker Brothers come across the line with a 133.168. 7th is going to be the highest he can start today. As Professor One comes around the final corner, he's potentially had a bit of an aid from that Williams ahead. As he crosses the line, stays 9th fastest. So Clay's playing, he's invalidated anyway, but his fuel would not have been good enough. That is the end of qualifying, as I need to take a drink, as I said. Just bear with me 1 second. So, thank you for waiting on me. Could anyone in the comments as well, quickly, just let me know if my microphone's okay? First week we had a bit of an issue with it. It was coming through my controller. If you just let me know, because I can't really tell right now, and I haven't got my phone next to me to be able to do so. So if anyone would just let me know in the comments. I saw Cameron Poulter just put a comment in so you can let me know if the mic's okay, if it sounds like it's coming through my controller or my headset. That would be fantastic if you could. So that is the end of qualifying. As I said, Lee Burt took a provisional pole a few minutes before the end and was able to stay there for the rest of the session. So we'll go through the order. The Irishman is on pole position in that Haas. The Ferrari is on the front row with him, with Stubby in third place. Paul Jones is fourth, of course, won the first race of the season. Clay Spraying is fifth, Ram is sixth, Proddy is seventh, Chuckle Brothers is 8th, 9th is Professor One, Lee Craig is 10th, Chuckle Brothers is 11th, 12th is Aki, Royal is 13th, Looney Man is 14th, 15th is Bugatti, 16th is Bernie, 17th is Dan Roche, and David Benson is 18th and last on that 9th row. So, it's looking like a pretty nice afternoon in Shanghai. So it's looking more than likely we're going to get a dry race as the 30-second clock has now started. Of course, they're sorting out their strategies. Of course, from this year onwards, it's free choice of tyres, but you only get one set of the hards and one set of the mediums. You get a few more sets of the softs. As of course, you have 4 sets at the start of qualifying. They carry on over into the race, but of course you only get the 1 set of hards and 1 set of mediums. That could be a difference if people did practice sessions right before and kept it all as 1 session. You'd be able to kind of pick what tyres you took through with you. But as a standard, you only get 1 medium and 1 hard, and then all the rest you have are soft tyres. And for some reason, we've got no audio. There we go. As we're back, I was just a little bit worried there. David Benson has left us, but fortunately in this one we got Ghosting on, and he is at the back, so shouldn't cause any bother to anyone, hopefully. So there we go, medium to hard, which I'm assuming most of the drivers will do. Actually, saying that, why have we not got the tyres up, Joe? That is the big question. So there we go, one driver, Clay Spraying, as always, goes on to the soft tyres. It's always his preferred tyre of choice. We've got Looney Man on the hard tyres, and we've got 16 drivers on the medium. So going for that medium hard 1 stop. Clay's is going to go for the 2 stop. I imagine he's just learning Paul Jones, so he's in 4th place at the start. Of course, in this year's game, formation is up. There's a nice little glitch there. Cobasters and EA with the haze not working out perfectly. It did get a little bit better there. David Benson has now joined, so he should be able to get into his car just after the start. He's slightly further back than everyone else. We've got a Merc just behind him as well. It could be Lee Craig or Chuckle Brothers. Of course, it's Lee Craig. So we're not far from getting underway. We've got Lee Burt on pole position with Cameron Poulter breathing down his neck in second in that very, very red Ferrari. So he's going to be very noticeable in Lee Burt's rear wing mirrors. Rear wing mirrors? Wing mirrors? As we get in to line up on pole, 28 laps. That was a very good guesstimate by me earlier on. And we'll just wait to see as David Benson's AI has caught up to the back of the field. So we're just about to get underway. We're just waiting for David Benson to form up, and we should be ready to get going. And we are. We've got 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're away in China for Road to Glory. And Cameron Poulter looks like he's got a really good start, and he's going to take the lead. Don't worry about Royal Rumble. That is a little bit of a glitch. Lee Burt now loses first place as Cameron Poulter goes around the outside. We've got a 5-second penalty for Bernie there. There's been a collision at the back as now Cameron Poulter has gone around. I think we've got a bit of an issue with the lobby potentially. Lee Burt is now into the lead of the race with Stubbles just behind him. Hopefully this chart will get itself sorted out. As we see Stubble just behind Lee Burt. I'm not sure if we're going to get a restart here because it seems like we've got a bit of an issue with the timing graph. So don't worry about Royal Rumble. He's not in the lead. Lee Burt is in the lead and closely being pursued by Stubble with Paul Jones just behind him as we go into the final sector of the lap at turn 11 and then the banking of turn 12 as we've got the long run, a banking of turn 12 and 13 as we now come down the back straight towards turns 14 and 15. And Lee Burt having a steady lead at the moment. His Clay's playing on those soft tyres, looking very strong as he brakes that little bit later, but Paul Jones is trying to go back around the outside and is unable to do so, and Clay's praying, moves up into 4th, but is expected on those soft tyres and should hopefully catch up to the back of the front two. As I said, please don't worry about Royal Rumble. He's in the mid-pack somewhere, not too sure where he is exactly. He's got a Red Bull just behind him, and he looks like he's going to lose position to the Red Bull. It's a very weird one, what's going on here. We've got 2 drivers who are ghosted, Chuck Brothers, and Lee Craig. They're both a ghosting car at the moment, so we have got a bit of an issue with the ghosting at the moment. The timing graph is now sorted itself out. Lee Burt is in his correct position at the front of the pack. Any big gainers on that one? We've definitely got one big loser, and that is Cameron Poulter, who went from 2nd to 15th. And now we've got another driver who looks like he's gone awry, and it's Dan Roche, who is now down in 16th, about to be overtaken by both Professor One and David Benson. As the yellow flag is now cleared, there's no chance for a VSC or safety car just yet, and we will have DRS enabled in a few corners time as we've got Looney Man that's round, and so ghosting is on fortunately, so didn't get caught up, but he is struggling on the hard tyres. He's going to be struggling for grip, that's for sure. Stan Roche is also somewhat struggling as well. As we now have DRS enabled, and hopefully my voice will stay with it for the next 45 minutes or so. I'm already getting a little bit worried about it, as Cameron Poulter is retired from the race in the pit lane on lap 2, which is a shame. Long old way to go. Lee Burt at the moment is commanding the lead as it stands. Plus, as I say that, Subi is now closing that gap, as well as Clay's praying, which is pretty obvious on the soft tyres. They're not going to last too long though, so it's going to have to be a very aggressive one. There you go, I've had some info on it now, as Cameron Poulter has just let us know that Stubby is round. He didn't let us know about that, but he is round, as you can see on our screen, and now is falling down the order, down into 8th place. Yeah, sorry, Cameron Poulter said he had side pod, maybe floor damage as well. I didn't see that bit of the comment, but he certainly had some severe damage and got run off the road at turn 2. Stubby's going to try and make up for his mistake, laid on the brakes from Stubby, goes up the inside and now takes 7th place. So fighting, as he said, I think I was ghosted on Liebert's screen as he went through me and obviously threw him off the road. So thanks very much for that little bit of info, Cameron Polster. That's very appreciative indeed. It does look like we've got a bit of an issue with the lobby potentially, but that might just be from what I'm seeing personally, so we don't know. Clay Spraying is up into 2nd, of course, with Stubby just making that mistake at turn 13. He is within DRS range. Proddy is within a couple of tenths, but that back end steps away from him at turn 5 as we go around turn 6 and 7 with the Williams. Getting all my corner numbers wrong today. It's usually something I'm really bad at getting it right. Turn 7 and 8. Clay Spraying is out of the Chinese Grand Prix. Those soft tyres, he took a risk and it hasn't paid off. And we've got a yellow flag in sector 2. Not sure. His Royal Rumble has gone round in the same place. Almost hits the barrier on the on his pirouette there to get himself facing in the right direction. Clay Spraying is out. That's 2 of the front runners who are out. Liebert has now got himself a very, very healthy lead of 2.5 seconds. So the pressure is falling off his shoulders somewhat as Stubby is now being overtaken, or overtaking, shall I say, of Aki in that Williams. Lee Craig is not far behind as Proddy is getting closer and closer and closer to Ram in 3rd place as we've got a battle at the hairpin of turn 14 as we went through 15 and now into 16, the final corner, and down the 2nd DRS straight of the lap. The activation point is before the start finish line, so it will be classed as the 2nd DRS zone. And Chuck Brothers is now gone around as well, and around for a 2nd time, and it's now took the end plate off that front wing as Royal Rumble goes through, followed closely by Looney Tune. We'll go back towards the front as Bugatti is now also spun. I'm surprised we've not had a VSC or a safety car just yet, and Emmy Burney is having some lag issues there. It looked like he was about to run himself into the wall, but of course that was looking like a slight connection issue. As Proddy is looking very good on the battery front at the moment. His rival ahead of him in the house that has got DRS off the back of that McLaren in 2nd place. Proddy almost sends it around, but is able to catch it in time, but does lose 2 places, and Lee Craig is breathing down his neck now as we go down the start finish and into turn 1 we go. Lee Craig is just pulling out to the right hand side, just toying with that Williams driver ahead. We've got Williams in 5th and 6th as it stands, and they're going to be team orders for the Grove outfit, and almost loses it at turn 2 as well. Looks like drivers are really struggling. Turn 3, sorry, drivers, that's where I'm making a mistake. Turn 3, they're really struggling with the rear end. It's a track where you've got to have really good rear stability on your car because there's very heavy and aggressive traction zones on this track. Chuck Brothers is into the pit lane. And there's just over half a second between Ram and Paul Jones in seconds. We're watching this lovely helicopter cam. As we see Paul Jones just trying to break the toe there on the Haas behind him. As the field is just, we're getting little pockets of battles just starting to form in the field. There's a bit of a gap with Stubby, of course, but he did spin at 10.13, if I remember rightly, at lap 2. As we now see Looney Man get past Royal Rumble. Didn't try and fight it back into the hairpin. As we're watching Toddy, who did struggle at 10.3 here, last lap. As we just watch him come around turn 7 and 8, as I said, the complex part of this circuit, especially this one here, it just seems so understeer heavy. We've got the Williams round now of Aki, who is now facing the wrong direction. We've lost the place of Stubby, and Bernie is going to be coming up on him thick and fast. He's just trying to get himself back into the motions. As I say that, he spins again. I think drivers just seem to forget about the fact that the tyres just don't like the spin, especially these new 18-inch wheels. The depth of the tyre is a lot less, so I think it takes a lot longer for the tyres to cool. With Looney Man now going to go around the outside at the banking as we get onto the straight. I think Royal Rumble maybe had a follow suit here as well, as Aki is trying to keep with, and Looney didn't have the DRS. As he moved over there, Aki may have been slightly too late. That was a bit of a case of moving under braking, as we see Royal Rumble round the outside of Aki there at the final corner at turn 16. The battle for second is looking more and more interesting as we go on. We'll just remind ourselves, I know that I think only now, actually yes, I think we've only got one driver in the field on the hard tyres. Chuck Brothers on the softs, because I think he pitted a couple of laps ago. Royal Rumble and Aki side by side into turn 6. Enough room between the two of them there. Respectful racing between the two of them. The flickering between 12th and 13th between the two of them. Royal Rumble goes around the outside at turn 7 as we now go into turn 8. The cutback for Aki, and maybe the cutback for a second time. Lee Craig is now round by the looks of things. As we look on our screens at turn 13, the exit onto the back straight. He gets himself facing the right direction now, but Royal Rumble is moved up into 12th. And sorry, as we skip through really quickly, looks like Bugatti is about to go past Emmy Bernie, and does. As we're already a third of the way through this race. This has gone very, very quickly indeed. As we watch Ram getting ever closer to the back of that McLaren. Is he going to go for it into the hairpin? No. He's going to wait for a better opportunity. As Chucker Brothers is now in the pits, I've got a feeling he may retire, and does, because he was lapped. So that's a shame for the Mercedes man. His teammate is also in a spot of bother. As you see that Aston Martin coming up thick and fast, and is now round again into the walls. As the driver's struggling with the concept of hot tyres. That could be a safety car, couldn't it? We've got the other range sets of 1, 2 and 3 now. I think we've just a bit of a coincidence there. 5/10 separate second and third. DRS open for the Haas driver, but it looks like that McLaren is very, very slippy in a straight line. Through 15 into 16. Stout defence from the McLaren driver at the moment. Very, very strong in that second place as it stands. Oh, as we got Professor One going up the inside of Emmy Burney, but Emmy Burney has been able to hold on. Aston Martin's 9th and 10th as it stands. 2/10 now, closer than it's ever been for Paul Jones and Ram. And Aki into the pits. They're not laps, so I think these are scheduled pits. I think Craig is down and out in this race. Looks like we're now down to 15 drivers out of 18. 4 drivers retired. Just over a third of the race gone so far. Paul Jones looks like he's been able to break that DRS detection. Or has he? Was he able to get it in time? Yes, he was. He has got the DRS. So he is, unfortunately, for Paul Jones, going to be able to close that gap. But not enough for him to go for a move. His driver is struggling by the looks of things around turn 12 and 13 as Bernie looks like he's almost hacking at the steering wheel. Just struggling on his exit as well, but it is keeping in DRS range of the driver ahead. So it looks like Ram is very, very strong in the first sector after getting a double dose of DRS. Dan Roche in that McLaren is round at between turns 8 and 9. If you look on the track map in the bottom right of your screen, Ram is literally almost ramming that McLaren. He's so close now, and this is going to be his best opportunity. Bit of a touch of the old wheel spin on that exit curb of turn 10 into turn 11, now turn 12, the morphs into turn 13. And on to the back straight we go, and DRS will be coming up very, very shortly. But as I said, that McLaren crucially has that straight line advantage. And I said, it's whether you sacrifice a bit of downforce for that straight line or you add the downforce. But crucially, I think personally, having the downforce means more pressure on your shoulders, I think, because it means you have to get every corner to the max, to the optimal range of your capabilities of the corners to be able to catch up on the straights. And it's personally, for me, when I race, I find that much more stressful than just knowing that I've got a good car in a straight line, which I think is much more crucial for league races. As Stubby is in the pits in that Alfa Romeo. So sorry if you just hear a pause for a second, I'm just having a little refreshment. As I said, my voice is just being a little bit croaky, so it always seems to happen on a Monday. This is the closest battle on track at the moment. The top 5 are streaks ahead of from the rest of the field. There's a big old gap behind. So it looks like Professor One is closing the gap to 6th place. To say that actually, he's now got past due to into the pit lane. So it looks like we're going to get a bit busy in the pit lane now as these one-stop strategies are going to start coming into effect with the medium tyre changing to that white banded hard tyre. 4/10 again, as I said, Ram is very good in the middle, in the first sector, and then we get into the middle and final. Paul Jones used to just eke out a gap just enough so Ram can't get a attempt to overtake into the hairpin at the end of the back straight, turn 14, or into turn 1 and the other DRS straight. However, he is closer than he has been for a good while, and will hope, or he hopes, that that DRS is going to work more effectively this time around. But as I said, Paul Jones just having that slight advantage over the Haas driver. He's just going along to half distance. The leader pits. This driver, Ram, his teammate, Lee Burt, as you can see now, is in the pit lane and just giving up the lead of the race to go into the pits. Ram is going to have to come in the next lap, as I don't think it was wise to double stack. Fresh jet for the Haas driver, who was leading the race and is going to come out in second place with a load of clear air. As we now see Professor One come through into turn 1 with Paul Jones just ahead of him, and Looney Man is looming over the back of that Aston Martin. Aston Martin. So Tommy saying, hi, I just got back. I'm just tuning in to the rest of the race. Well, welcome along. We've got about half the race to go. We've had 4 drivers out so far. I think a lot of drivers have been struggling with rear end stability. You saw there from Proddy. There's a prime example as soon as I said it. Is this Tommy, the Tommy I know, just so I know exactly. You put in the comments, Tommy in LFR. I think that should be who it is. But Royal Rumble, Aki and Emmy Burney, all very, very close together. Dan Roche is having more problems as Ram is into the pit. So we'll stay with Paul Jones, who's been able to keep ahead of Professor One and been able to light up those hard tyres and be able to keep in front of the Aston Martin driver. But is he going to be able to get ahead of Ram, or stay ahead, should I say, before the pit stops? Only time will tell. It looks like Ram is getting close to having his pit stop completed. He is now, so this is actually going to be very close. I think Ram might actually come out ahead. There he is. So he did have that slight advantage in the overcut. It looks like it's worked this time around, which doesn't usually happen in F1 22. So he takes the fastest lap of the race with a 1:36.116. Paul Jones has now given up that second place, so the fight is on. But as we said before the pit stops, when roles were reversed, that McLaren is very, very fast in a straight line, but only time will tell if he can get himself in that DRS range, which he has at the moment, but we haven't got a detection point for a few corners yet. And if you want to know where it is, it's just after turn 11, so just after this straight, coming up here into the next left-hander, the detection point there. As Tommy says, Paul Jones, I think he's talking about Paul Jones, is going to have to push like crazy to get past him. He is pushing like crazy, and I think he is, as Ram is now deploying that battery. They were on a bit of a stalemate in terms of the battery. Neither of them wanted to use any more than sort of half, but now this looks like it could be a game of waiting as Proddy comes into the hairpin. Is Lee Burt now takes away the fastest lap from Stubby, who had it a few moments ago. So, looks like Emmy Burney is very close to Aki, and I say that, Royal Rumble is very close to Burney. It's a three-way fight for that 10th place. I think I'm right in saying we do go beyond 10 places for points in Road to Glory, but don't quote me on that one, so we won't be so focused on the top 10. As Royal Rumble looks like he is glossing past Emmy Burney there. So Tommy, who are you cheering on then in the comments? Who do you want to win this race? Lee Burt's looking in quite a strong position, controlling the race at the moment. It has done from the start. As you saw him just there in the very distance go around the hairpin, so he's got himself a very, very comfortable margin now. As Chuck Brothers says that Paul is saving a bit of fuel, and I'm assuming just go on the attack at the end or hope for a safe car. She said the rain, there might be rain coming, so that's an interesting one. You think Paul Jones is going to win, Tommy? Okay, interesting. See what happens with these two. I said Paul Jones is saving fuel. I mean, Bernie is out, and he's out at the start of the pit lane. That's interesting. Fortunately, we can't see him once he's DNF. We were on board with him. We've been able to see. Yeah, he's hit the wall. Looks like he's hit the. As Chuckle Brothers saying, Team Chuck for the win. So I've not asked you this, Chuckle Brothers. I've wanted to for a long time. Lewis Hamilton 2007. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, Chuck Brothers. So I'm guessing Chuck Brothers, is he actually your brother, or have you just done that for a bit of a, bit of fun, bit of a joke? Just a bit of information for me. I'll let everyone else know. We'll go to Stubby and Looney Man. Ah, okay. Who's the older? Or who's the elder sibling? As we've got a yellow flag. Who is that for? Is it David Benson? No, it's not David Benson, it's Aki. Aki is yellow flag. We haven't had a safety car or VSC at all just yet. Well, you're very lucky to have a rig. I haven't got a rig. Got a kind of a makeshift rig, should we say. As Stevie goes up the inside, I need to be concentrating on the race chance. As Looney Man, so I'm a man, I can't multitask. Was that a little bit unfair, especially with Mental Health Day? So, of course, if you can support in any way Mental Health Day. And actually, I'll just say that very, very quickly. If you're struggling at any point, I'll be open. I've struggled quite a lot in the past, especially in the last few months. I've found a lot better than I have done for a long time. So if anyone is struggling at all, make sure you talk to someone. If you don't want to talk to anyone, just try and get outside, get some air. It always seems to really be a good bit of medication, not just a bit of fresh air. This track is a nightmare. You struggle with the car setup, basically. It's what he just said. But yeah, as I said, if you can talk to someone, that's fantastic. If it has to be anyone from your racing community or at home, or boyfriend, girlfriend, brother, sister, whatever it is, make sure you talk. And if you want to get the help, make sure that you do, and it's really important that you do. It's quite scary, but it can really make a difference to your life. And I'm saying that from my own personal experience, and probably is an experiencing a rather good overtake. Is that an overtake? It is on Chuck Brothers as they're going around turn 3. And so now we're talking about gaming rigs and wheels in the comments. And as Tommy has just said in the comments, what a move from Proddy. Yeah, it was a great move around the outside. I wasn't sure if he was a back mark. It was very impressive. I was surprised that he got that move done. Yeah, just to finish off what I was saying, just make sure you talk to anyone. There's charities like Mind, the Samaritans, and many more. There's just a few off the top of my head. Just make sure that you find someone to talk to, and if you don't want to, as I said, just try and do things that you know help your mental state, i.e. like walking, which is one of the big ones. Anyway, enough about that. Back to what we love. And his Chuck Brothers gonna go for an overtake. No, he might get the better traction though on the exit as Proddy's rear end gets a bit squirrely out of the hairpin, and a bit too much out of the final corner. Chuck Brothers almost hit the back of him there, but I think the racing gods were on his side there as we see the McLaren file out the pit lanes. It is a back marker. Chuck Brothers saying great wheel to wheel racing, love to see that. Yes, we do indeed. It looks like your brother has already gained almost a second. It was just a second, just as I said that, and now just fallen underneath. We'll see if Paul. Oh, which one was that? Just Paul before I went off. It was probably Chuck Brothers that just said Chuck Brothers. Did you know, by the way, Chuck Brothers, or the pair of you, you're a commentator's worst nightmare. I hope you realise that. I'm just going to say it. It's so bad, honestly. It takes too much brain power. Dan Roche, the back marker, has spun round though at turn 10. And his day is just going from bad to worse. Unfortunately for him, he's actually left the session without retiring the pit lane, so hopefully that's okay. 5 tenths separate 4th and 5th. As Proddy's getting ever closer, it's good that people are talking about their mental health in the comments. It's good to be open. And as I say, I was talking to my girlfriend about it earlier. It's a bit of a, men definitely got a bit of a stigma against them, not to talk and to have this stiff upper lip and sort of old-fashioned beliefs. As Proddy is so close to the back, and they're always going to be so cautious through turn 3. We've seen a lot of drivers go into that wall on the left hand side throughout this race. Dummies to the inside, but Chuck Brothers doesn't phase to the challenge. As I said, that rear end, people really struggling on the rear stability here in China. And Chuck Brothers, I will say, don't really want to criticise. I don't know if that was a wise choice changing the track. I don't know how last minute you changed it. Makes it a bit more exciting for me, but I think you definitely made a few drivers uncomfortable today, shall we say. But anyway, I love China. 1.3 seconds now. I've been keeping a close eye on that gap, even though I haven't spoken about it for a few laps. I think the McLaren man may have been saving fuel. I don't think he's got enough fuel just yet. He's got to save more fuel than he is. It's getting closer and closer to the end. And I'm not sure if he's breaking even on the fuel just yet. Like I said, unfortunately, the gaps are just starting to spread a little bit. We might see some closer racing, I think, towards the end. We have got some gaps teetering on that DRS range, but as I said, unless you have a slippery car from the get-go with your setup, it's so hard to overtake anywhere, but especially somewhere like here, where you've got that 1 kilometre back straight and a pretty reasonably long front start-finish straight as well. So, Chuckle Brothers, your brother might have a bit of work to do here. It looks like he's got... Yeah, he's saying you have to use China. Love it. Yeah, I definitely prefer it over Mexico. I wasn't overly excited for Mexico tonight. I must admit, I do sometimes find it a bit stale. It's been an interesting one so far. So we're 2/3 of the way through the race. And Chuck Brothers just going on the defensive. Was that a raindrop I saw? That was. Here comes the rain, says Chuckle Brothers. It does indeed. But how heavy is this going to get? Is it going to get heavy enough for intermediate tyres? Arguably, hard tyres in these conditions are not a good tyre to be on. 2021 rush of vibes, Tommy says, with this rain just starting to fall as we get towards the end. Of course, we have no safety cars, so this didn't come earlier than people presumes, and obviously it was a high chance of rain coming, because of course now it's here, but as it stands, the rain is not falling enough to really settle down on the circuit, but we know it can change in a blink of an eye, the track conditions on this game. But it's going to be the one that blinks first, the one that pulls the trigger for the intermediates or the softs. I mean, the softs might also be a really, really good call on this track, but of course you've got to be careful. I have a memory in LFR, Limitless Formula Racing, which you see on a Tuesday and a Wednesday. Hopefully we'll get Thursday going this season as well. We'll just yet to confirm that just yet. But yeah, I remember similar conditions to this. I think it might have been the other way around. I think it was going from wet to dry, and I went on to the, yeah, I think it was, and I went to, yeah, sorry about this, all the drivers hanging out. Bear with me 1 second, I'm just going to have a quick drink. As DRS is disabled, that is usually a pointer to say that it's time for the intermediate. Maybe not just yet, but I got a feeling that pit lane is going to get very busy with a few laps to go. But yeah, so I had a similar thing. I think it was the dry tyres I went to a bit earlier than everyone else. It was the perfect time to go onto the dries. I overtook someone on the intermediate, and they outbraked themselves because the conditions had changed and went straight into the back of me. So people have got to be careful. Ram, however, has not been careful, going for that Emirates Fly Better advertising hoarding. And it's now got Chuck Brothers right on his gearbox, and looks like he may get past and get on to that final step of the rostrum. But we have got a little way to go in this race, and the rain is coming down much harder, and as you can see, drivers having to brake a little bit earlier, and especially here at 12 and 13. This is going to be crucial corners. As we come down the back straight, as I said, no DRS anymore, so it's going to be some good old-fashioned slipstream, and I think everyone surely must be coming into the pits. Lee Burt, the race leader, is not coming into the pits, nor is Paul Jones. Surely someone has now got to take the gamble. Look at that surface. as we see Ram is coming into the pits, followed by Chuck Brothers. Are we going to see a Sebastian Vettel kind of move in the pit lane here? Is anyone going to try and go for the sneaky overtake? No, single file is into the pit lane. The top three are three drivers from third to fifth are in the pit lane now. Stubby, and I think everyone is going to follow suit. Paul Jones and Lee Burt may have made the wrong call here. Ram might have pulled off an absolute beauty of a strategy with a few laps to go, because I can assure you Lee Burt on those hard tyres is not going to be liking this whatsoever. He's got a big gap to Paul Jones behind, a bit of a lock-up. He's going to have absolutely no temperature anymore. It's literally dancing on ice now for the Haas driver, but can he dance it all the way to the pit lane? We're going to have drivers struggling now as he comes around turn 13. His time is going to be so much slower than drivers behind. We'll see where Ram is. He's just coming through the left right of 7 and 8. I'm not sure if he's going to make up enough time, but he's going so slow in this final part of the lap and losing grip all the time, losing temperature, and those tyres are just getting wetter and wetter. He's going to have to pit. As Tommy said a minute ago, I think no Hamiltons in the pit lane, and he's able to keep it on the black stuff for a little while longer as we're watching the other Haas come through turns 12 and 13. I'm pretty sure he's going to take second place if it isn't going to be first. I don't think it is going to be first, but of course he is going to be gaining back a lot of that time that he's lost to his teammate, as we see Paul Jones now just getting himself into the pit lane. Lee Burt, however, I've got to be honest, Michael Schumacher-esque driving there in that final lap before his pit stop. Lap 25, which belongs to lap 26, is a pass 1-2 as it stands. The Chucklebird just behind Proddy in fourth. Paul Jones is now just exiting the pit lane and he's going to be in fifth place, but only just. Sorry guys, if you just bear with me for 2 seconds, just 2 seconds. Sorry about that, I thought I heard the front door go. So Chuckle Brothers is only 5 tenths, or just over 5 tenths, behind Ram in second. Chuck for second, says Tommy with a question mark. Not if he loses it at turn 13, Tommy, but he was able to keep it in the right direction. And as I said, those three have really made a very good call there. I'm sure Paul Jones is going to be absolutely kicking himself. As Chuckle Brothers says, come on bro, you've got this. Can he get himself a second place finish? We've got 2 laps to go, and I feel like this is really flown by today, I must be honest. But we have got this battle for a second. I think Chuck Brothers is going to have to give it absolutely everything he's got now, with a lap and a half to go. As Tommy says, last lap, last corner, he should just do some ridiculous dive bomb and get the move of the day. Unfortunately guys, if you write too long a message, I can't see it. I can only see sort of the first couple of sentences, so just bear that in mind when you do message Paul Jones. is now off. So his day is now gone from bad to worse. He's down into 7th, going to be down into 8th. Contact, then up the inside, and a bit of a love tap between the Red Bull and the McLaren as Professor One almost swings it at turn 10. So Paul Jones has won the first 2 rounds of the season. Last week he also got fastest lap as well, but this week that doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Lee Burt is down in 10th place in the championship. As somebody says, you must always leave the space. I'm not going to do a Spanish accent. I'm not going to embarrass myself that much. So, final lap. 16 seconds is the lead for Lee Burt in the Haas. Is it going to be an all-white, an all-American, an all-Haas win? I was going to say front row. It's not a front row. It's going to be a 1-2. Is it going to be an all-American 1-2 this evening, or is the Red Bull going to be able to spoil that party? We haven't got long to go. Tommy says, I'm really gutted that he's not been able to attend the race. He said it's been a really good one. Well, thank you for keeping me company, watching along with me. Lee Burt, however, we will go to him into the final corner, but we'll just see what these two can do through 12 and 13th. As you said, Chuck Brothers got to give it absolutely everything now as we come down towards the final corner. I even think the biggest dive bomb isn't going to do anything now. Ram has left it to the end to put it away. We didn't catch Lee Burt, unfortunately, but he wins the Chinese Grand Prix, his first win of the season. Commanding victory for him. It looks like Ram is going to take that 2nd place. It's going to be Hasses galore here in China. It's a 1-2 for the American outfit as low fuel for Chuck in the end. Brodie comes home in 4th. Stubby, who started strong, finishes reasonably well in 5th place, recovered very well, I should say. Lincoln comes across the line in 6th, 7th for Bugatti, Paul Jones in 8th. They all came across the line very, very close together. 9th place for Professor One. Royal Rumble is coming into the final corner now. And he's going to take 10th place. Fair play to Haas for the 1-2, says Tommy. Yeah, it was a good performance. Chuck Brothers, how many places did we get down for points? I have forgotten. If you could let me know, that'd be fantastic. Aki comes around the final corner, finishes in 11th place. So that's actually a lot. That is a lot. 28 laps have been completed. Points all the way. Okay. Fair enough, didn't know that. So, there we go, Lee Burt winning his first race of the season in the Monday tier. Takes his wheel up there as well. So there we go, there's a celebration. Send me the points. Thank you very much to the Irishman. Started on pole, takes the fastest lap and takes the win. It's a hat-trick in Shanghai. For Lee Burt, his teammate is in 2nd place, so maximum points for the Haas team. Chuck Brothers is 3rd, Brodie is 4th, Stubby is 5th, the Welshman leading man is 6th, 7th is Bugatti, Paul Jones finished in 8th, 9th place for Professor One, Royal Rumble finished in 10th, Aki finished in 11th place, 12th place for David Benson, Dan Roach actually did finish, but 3 laps down. It's classed him as finishing. Emmy Burney finished DNF'd. Lee Craig, Chuck Brothers, Clay Sprain, and Cameron Poulter all did not finish the Chinese Grand Prix. Anyway, as I said, thank you very much for watching. Please make sure to check us out tomorrow night for... what have we got tomorrow? I think we've got China again, actually. It's a double header of China this week. That's right, isn't it? Was it? Yes, double header of China this week. In LFR. So Tommy, thank you. I hope you do come and check it out. It'll be me again tomorrow, and then on Wednesday for LFR we've got Bahrain in our limitless one, our tier 1 category. So anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, share to your friends. If you're watching this and you're not in either league, make sure to send a message in the comments to get into Road to Glory. It races on Sunday, Monday and Thursday evenings, or if you want to try LFR out, so Monday, Tuesday and potentially a Thursday as well. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. So please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you tomorrow for Tuesday's Limitless 2 in LFR.